It is a very good morning to you all and welcome to the Breakfast Club right here on Asake. My name is Fungai Mawada. When the mention of cancer comes to mind, a lot of people obviously are filled with some sense of fear. Some people go down memory lane and it's not really pleasant memories that comes to mind when it comes to cancer, particularly looking at our health system here in Zimbabwe, where you find that a lot of hospitals are not adequately prepared to deal with cancer within our country. Bravely joining me on the Breakfast Club today, I am joined by Linda Sibanda, who is what I like to call a survivor of cancer. Linda, good morning and welcome to the Breakfast Club.
Morning, Fungai. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. And thank you so much for joining us. I know it's not easy because I have been trying to get guests to come and talk about their experiences when it comes to cancer and the likes. And I think it's just so brave for you to come forward and just to share your experience in dealing with cancer. So maybe for those who are at home who are just joining us, maybe tell us, who is Linda Sibanda?
Thank you, Fungai. Linda Sibanda is a cervical cancer survivor. I was diagnosed with cervical cancer on the 5th of December, 2019. I was shocked. I was devastated. There's no way I can express what I felt on that day. But what I can say is that I just asked myself why God has presented me with such a dreadful disease. Among all these diseases in the world, why cancer?
Okay, so maybe for those who are not familiar with what cervical cancer is, could you please tell us what cervical cancer is and run us through your story as well as to what happened from the moment you're diagnosed with cervical cancer?
Cervical cancer, it attacks the mouth of the cervix. It's mostly is prone to women over the age of 40.
And when are you diagnosed, like you said, in December of 2019? What was the experience like for you? What led to you even going for a checkup at the doctor in the first place?
You know, Fungai, I did not stand up and go to the doctor at that particular moment. I started having the symptoms, like I say, maybe it was in September, where I experienced some bleeding here and there, but that bleeding was becoming abnormal. Then the reason why I delayed going to the doctor, one, I was just reluctant. Two, you remember there was a problem in our health systems where the doctors were on strike. So I thought if I go to hospital now, I will have a problem, because if it really is cancer, then it might affect me psychologically because of our health system. The doctors were on strike for a long time by then. And I remembered way back, I think it was in 2016, I had an aunt. We had gone for it was a similar procedure at Impilo Hospital. She had, in fact, she was a diabetic patient and she was hypertensive. So what happened was, when she was about to be discharged, after the surgery was done, it was Christmas time, and the doctors probably were on holiday. She suffered her sugar levels went up, and she failed to get attention, and she passed on. So I was thinking to myself, if I go to hospital by then and they are not doctors, what will happen to me? One, is going to affect me psychologically, because the effect that you've got cancer is almost like something that grows, like a plant that has been planted, it will grow. And I will not know what's going to happen to me. And then again on 2017, I've got an uncle who passed on, died of cancer again. After we had taken him to hospital on a Monday, no, it was like almost a week before his death, we took him to hospital. And then the following week, we were asked to come and meet the doctor who wanted to tell us about his condition. And among the people who met that doctor was me and my dad. And the doctor, the time when I got to hospital, my dad was a busy person. He's not a patient man. He went away and left me with the doctor, who told me that my uncle was suffering from cancer. And he told me that there is absolutely nothing that he will do for my uncle, although he looked very healthy. But he told me that he had no time on earth. And that was on a Monday. And guess what happened? On Wednesday, he died. So all those things came to me. I said,
both of my beloveds have passed away, and it was cancer, and wow.
Now, when I eventually went to hospital, you know what happened? I went to church on a Sunday. It was now in December. Imagine September, October, November, December. It was 4 months after I suspected that something was wrong with me. In December, on a Sunday, I think could have been the 3rd or 2nd of December, I went to church. When I was visiting the toilet was left full of blood from Norway. I said, what is this now? So after church, I was supposed to meet my friends for lunch. I told them, my dear friends, we were supposed to go together for checkups. Now, up to this time, we haven't gone. And today, what I experienced, I think tomorrow I'm going straight to hospital. I think I've got cervical cancer. They said, no, we'll go together, Linda. The other one of my friends, Councillor's crew, was supposed to travel to Zambia, to Ethiopia, somewhere there. Then she says to me, no, but why don't you wait? We'll go together. We'll accompany you to hospital so that we'll all get checked. I said, it's cool. No, I don't think I'll wait for you. Then on a Thursday, I went to hospital. And I don't know what I can say. I was horrified to be told that I had cancer and it was almost a stage T. They did a biopsy. I had to take the samples to another doctor in town. The first person I called was my uncle, who is a pastor, because I told him before I went to hospital that I'm going to go to, I told him I'm not feeling well. I suspect I have cancer. He says, no, Linda. No, you can't say that. That is demonic. And then he says, anyway, just go to hospital. I told him like yesterday. So when I got my results, I sent him a message and I called my mom. Then my mom says to me, whose results are those? I said, check the message on top, because I'd taken a photograph of my card. Then she says, are they yours? I said, yes. And I was alone at UBH there. I got a lift into town. You know, I couldn't even open my mouth to greet people that I would meet because I thought I was going to break down. I couldn't believe it. Said, of all the diseases in this world, why cancer?
And why me?
And why me? After that, I took my samples to my biopsy to the doctor in town, the pathologist. They told me they're going to call me after some days to come and get the results. And for sure, and the doctor who did my biopsy was Dr. Chikangacha. He knew me. And then when I went to collect, he was there. We would collect my results. He says, Linda, I'm sorry to say that you've got cervical cancer. So what happens now? He says, now you have to, do you have a doctor? I said, not yet. And then he says, now I have to call around, try and find a doctor for you. But it's expensive. The minimum that you might pay around could be about $3,000 US. That was in 2019. And then he says, okay, I'll check up with Dr. Mtombeni. And he mentioned another doctor. And then he called Dr. Mtombeni. He said, he asked me if I knew Dr. Mtombeni. I said, yes. Dr. Mtombeni, I went to him. He sent me there. He called. I said, Dr. Mtombeni, I'm sending Linda over to you. Things are not right. Then Mtombeni says, Linda is with you there. Then he says, yes. I said, okay, send her. Now I got there and says, Linda, how could you possibly bring such bad news? Fortunately, I was with my cousin. She went and dropped me there. Then he says, okay, we don't know. Let's just examine you. Check whether you are still operatable or not. Because, do you know what? Most women, when they get to that stage, we hear a lot of things. Anyway, let me just continue with the experience with the doctors. Then I come back and tell you about family members now. Yes. Okay, Dr. Mtombeni examined me. He says, no, we can operate on you, Linda. Try and look for money. Whatever you have, tell us how much you have. We'll help you. I went back home. I called home. I said, I've just been to the doctor. He said I'm operable. Okay. But there at home, there were some other talks, elders, Africans, about cancer issues. Oh, yeah. They said, no, maybe they just want to experiment. Bafuni imali. I tell them, the doctor gave me about 2 weeks in between my op and my life. Because that cancer, I saw them maybe to ding imali when. No, it was. Yeah, it will move on to other organs. So after that, Dr. Mtomen said, okay, just go and fix everything, and then you come back, we'll book you in the hospital. And unfortunately, Dr. Mtomen can only do his surgeries at UBH and Mater Dei. And the amount of money that was needed, apart from the bookings at Mater Dei, it was a lot of money. So I went and told the family members, my friends, what. Everybody else started looking for money to save Linda. When I went back home, I was told that the parents are saying we should look for other doctors so that it should not be one doctor who says Linda is operable. At church, I go to Harvest House. There's Dr. Avoma, who is an oncologist, fortunately. Dr. Avoma says, no, at this stage, it's possible that you can be operated on. Have you found a doctor? I said I went to Dr. Mtombeni. I spoke to Dr. Ruth Labode. Dr. Ruth Labode told me, okay, it's fine, but look for other doctors, the specialists, especially with your situation. I was referred to this other lady, Senator Kumalo. She sent me a message and said, my daughter, I hear you're not feeling well, but try and go to Dr. Solwayo Ngwenya. He's a specialist. I know it's going to cost you a lot of money, but what you need is for you to be what? Treated. I looked for Dr. Solwayo. I got him. He gave me details to his surgery. I went to the surgery. The first day, unfortunately, it was a holiday. Now time is moving. Imagine from the 5th of December, it was almost Christmas time, and I was busy moving around trying to get doctors, and they at home unpacked. And only my family members, like cousins and my young brothers and sisters, were now putting up monies together. And then friends, especially from Triple C, around Zimbabwe, they started gathering monies also, thanks to Lady Tendai Masocha. So even Dr. Labode actually was the first one to put it on the group chat. Hey, the rumors that we heard are true. The person who is ill is Linda in Bulawayo. I've seen her. Please help. Before I went to Solwayo, the monies were already coming up. So I went to Dr. Solwayo, examined me. You know what he said to me? He said, I wish you could go out there and tell some other young ladies, and the ladies your age, to please come and get your cervix checked. Get checked for cervical cancer when there's still time. Because when it comes from us doctors, people think that we want money, but we are all up to saving what? Your lives. Fine, Dr. Solwayo, you know what he did? By the grace of God. It was on the 23rd of December. And he booked me at Mpilo for the 6th of January. But there at UBH, I was booked for checkup on the 3rd of January. Just checkup. But there, Dr. Solwayo booked me for surgery on the 6th of January, whether I had money or not. So I called back home. I told him, I'm from the doctor. He's already booked me at Mpilo. I'm having a surgery on the 7th of January. And the rumor came out that, no, the doctors, they just want money. We believe that at this stage, that cancer cannot be operated on. It's just a matter of time. She's going to die.
This was from your family?
Yes. Now I heard it later on. Wow. But I was surprised because at the beginning, I was asking myself, why are they reluctant to help me? Why are they reluctant to help me? But my mom and other family members, they did this and that, sold inkomo, and put monies together for me. But I think my dad was worried that he's going to lose me. I think he had stories about exactly.
Yes.
So eventually on the 6th of January, I went to hospital with a heavy heart. One, I've got an auntie who came for a surgery here, who just died. And here I am with the situation at Impilo Hospital. It was not rosy.
So how did that go? Tell us about the operation day and the process afterwards as well.
I will skip one scenario because I don't want to alarm people.
Okay.
Yeah, there's something that I'm going to skip. I will tell you off air. Right. I had my surgery done on the 8th of... I went to hospital on the 6th of January. My surgery was done on the 8th of January at Impilo Hospital. I was admitted at C5. I went there with a heavy heart. I was scared. I never thought I would go back home. But the surgery was done. And it was successful. But although it had to be redone because of other medical conditions, by then. So there was the doctor had already warned me about I'm prone to infections. Okay. Yeah. So they had to redo my op, but it had nothing to do with the cancer now. The cancer was already removed. Okay, let's now, the cancer removal is done and we are now jumping over to radiation. Before I left hospital, I stayed a month at Impilo Hospital. The doctor wanted me not to leave hospital without booking for radiotherapy, so to go and do radiation, which was going to kill all the cancer cells. Okay, on the day when I left Impilo on the 3rd of February. I went past the radiotherapy center. I booked myself there. I went home. I went to rebook again for some other reason that I don't know. I went to rebook. After that, I had to go for x-rays to check, x-ray and scan, to check if my vital organs were not affected. The only minor problem that I had was when the doctor did the operation, they did not remove my tubes. They left all the 2 tubes. So the oncologist was worried. That,
so these are your fallopian tubes?
Yes. Okay. And my right kidney was dry. So I waited for radiation time. Unfortunately, COVID.
Oh yes, 2020.
Yes. Everything had to shut down because of COVID. Yes. Now I was worried. Because I waited at Impilo Hospital, they only told you that they will call you to come back for treatment. I waited for them to call. Nobody called me. I phoned back. They say we are only taking critical cases at the moment. I said, but what about me? Just wait. Just wait. Wait, we'll call you. And I waited until July. I've forgotten the date in July when they called me to come and start radiotherapy. Now, the radiotherapy started. I had to do 23 sessions. Of those 23 sessions, it was difficult to access the hospital. There was no transport. There were travel restrictions. And you could not get anyone to travel with you because that person also needed a letter to take you to hospital. Until I went on with my therapy until mid-August when we broke for Heroes Holiday. After Heroes Holiday, I think I did only one session. We could have been my 17th session. And the machine broke down. Just imagine. The machine broke down, waited at home. We waited until, I don't know, until we were told that no. The only thing that we have to do is to transfer you to Harare. I was left with 6 sessions. Fortunately for me, by grace of God, the doctor said, Linda is not going to Harare. She's going to do what? An internal therapy, which was plug therapy. You are going to be treated internally. Others went to Harare. I stayed here. I was very fortunate. So I proceeded with my drug therapy until I finished my treatment. I'm on remission now. Here I am. That's Linda.
That's quite the story. I felt myself actually tearing up at some point when you're talking about how the impact of family and its importance when it comes to cancer and the likes. So maybe we can touch on that, on especially looking at women and our position in society, and how often when we get these diseases, like, okay, why did you get this? Okay, you're about to die anyway, so what's the point? What is the importance and the impact of family when it comes to things such as cancer?
I think we should learn to stand by our families in their time of need, especially when they need medical care. We are not supposed to just brush them off and say that it's the end of the world. Because here I am, I'm alive. I didn't die. And it's not that my being alive is that I'm immortal or what. It was just by the grace of God. If I had neglected my treatments, like maybe because someone else had seen with the other eye that it was a complete sheer waste of time for me to go for an operation, I could have been dead, because cancer kills.
It does. It really does. And then as you were speaking, you're talking about how Dr. Solayo even said to you, would he encourage women to come for these, checkups and the likes? And I think I share the same sentiments with a lot of women around the world. When it comes to those checkups, they're just like, oh my gosh, whether it's a breast cancer, checkup, or even cervical cancer checkup, you're always scared at the end of the day, because you're also thinking, even if I do have it, I'm in Zimbabwe. What's going to happen? What words of encouragement would you give to young women out there who are probably feeling the same way you were between that time in September when you thought you had it to the time that you're diagnosed actually having it in December?
I would like to say to other women out there, when you feel there is something wrong with you, especially along those lines, cancer lines, don't wait for tomorrow. Tomorrow might never come. Please rush to the hospital and get checked. I know it's difficult with our medical system here in Zimbabwe. Things are slow, things are not patient, and it actually frustrates a sick patient. A patient. And someone who is not patient enough might just live like that and say, well, while least we cannot save our lives and go and get treatment on time. And I encourage every young woman. Fortunately, now there is some vaccination that is being done, that is being given to kids from, I think, grade 5. To those vaccinated for what? Cervical cancer. But those who are not vaccinated, like maybe at my age group and those in between the time when the vaccination started until now, the best thing is to go and get checked. I don't know how it could be done. It will put a very special day almost every month for women to go and get checked. Because I know there are long queues in these government hospitals. And the government hospital, the patients, the medical system is bad. There is no patience among the medical staff. So it actually frustrates the people out there. If I go to hospital and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, you are the one who loses your life.
Health is wealth at the end of the day. Absolutely. And let's actually touch on another issue, which you spoke about, which is the hospital system in Zimbabwe. And as a person who is now in remission, who's experienced the whole thing from radiotherapy to going to different doctors and the likes, what would you like to see being done differently when it comes to treatment of cancer issues in Zimbabwe?
I say thumbs up to radiotherapy staff. I don't know whether it's all the hospitals, but in Pilo Hospital, thumbs up to them. They actually tell whoever it is that here we are dealing with people who are ill, who needs us, who don't want any funny stuff. They are here because they need they treat you like a person. They treat us well. They treat us very well. Thumbs up to those people. People at radiotherapy there are sick. I am so grateful to God and the fellow friends out there who took care of my medical expenses and who are still taking care of me right now. Otherwise, apart from that, things are not good. Look at the machine. It went down in 2020. This is 2022. It's still down. And people have to travel all the way to Harare for treatment. And if you don't have money or pay anywhere to stay in Harare, the next thing you just sit back and say, exactly. Let me just. So I just wish the government could pay more attention to hospital, like the departments of chronic diseases. There are so many cancer patients out there who needs to be seen in hospitals and who needs a lot of help from hospitals. At least if they could put more attention or put more money on places like there was chronic diseases, especially departments on allow cancer. It's just not cervical cancer that is killing people. It's not breast cancer that is killing people. It's not a colony cancer. It's not blood cancer and whatever. There are so many of these cancer diseases that we meet. We meet different people with different cancers out there, and they are suffering.
All right. So now Linda is in remission. What's the future like for Linda when it comes to cancer? What are you hoping for future-wise?
I'm just hoping to go out there and preach the gospel of treatment, early treatment for every cancer patient, not just women.
Absolutely. Linda, thank you so much for coming to the show and being so brave to tell us your story. And I'm sure it has touched a lot of individuals at home. So thank you so much for that. And to you at home, thank you so much for joining us on the Breakfast Club. As you know, we continue to commemorate Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So make sure you go to your local facilities as well and just check for breast cancer there. And of course, you can also do these tests at home on your own. So use the internet wisely and check for breast cancer at home. And remember that breast cancer doesn't only affect women, it also affects men as well. And thank you so much for joining us once again right here on the Breakfast Club. Don't forget to like and to follow us on all social media platforms, right? Site ZW on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, as well as on Twitter. From myself, Fungai, and the team behind the scenes, goodbye.